trying to do but now we have several migration job line feature. By job line, we start migration and hours of data, and it needs to be tracked. Why is that? Basically, the way it currently you may trigger several migration operations, and the data starts to be removed in all of the time, but there is no way to track what's going on. If one of them has failed, unless you check the share itself and take the logs. And what we are thinking here is that there are other features on the code, such as share backup. They may also behave the same in a way, and we would like to track the developers to be able to know when has the job started, how we can keep those jobs, how many jobs are running, and which data they're running. For the case, we want to have several data services in order to load balance all the jobs. So I would like to start with definition some technical depth that postponed from already merged features, because we already think that it would be better implemented in this job table. What is currently implemented that the migration that covers go to the data services app. What the purpose of the migration? Synchronous and one article. Every API goes to the data service. Let's say you have a huge amount of API requests. They are all going to the data service. Operation. And ideally, that information should stay in a database where
this is real-time status, right? Like,
yeah,
I want to know is it 50% done or 55% done or 60% done?
Real time. But the problem is the data service is doing a lot of I/O operations, and the API takes up a little longer to complete because going to get the information,
but it's not the kind of thing you want to store in the database. Is it like the exact % progress completed? Because then you're going to be updating the database all the time, even when nobody asks.
I mean, periodically, like every 10 seconds or a day,
okay.
But something that all the requests will go to the database.
So you update the status periodically, and then anyone who comes in the API might get a slightly out-of-date response from the last update.
Yeah. We could tweak the periodic.
Sure.
But I think that's part of the world these drivers. Yeah. Yeah. Every time we try to turn the web, instead of the journey, progress, and every time that's another okay, so another item that we are not saving the job information. This information depends on whether it's starting this job, the data service, but let's say you restart the data service for crashes or I don't know. The information is not saved restart the job because we don't have the information saved. What we could do is that we can just disregard the job, job failed, let's start it again. Because we have no information saved. So I dedicated another field to the table for saving information. And the structure, I think any dictionary structure fine for this similar to.
There has to be a size limit.
Well, yeah, we'll have size limit.
Okay.
And it would be better if we can decide on the things that we really need. So far, I have listed a few months.
Well, yeah. Well, what do you envision? So this is some sort of progress indicator, or like.
Job data. Just job data.
But enough information that you could restart the job.
Yes. So it's the information
without starting over, but starting where you left off, like that could require a massive amount of space, right?
I mean, depends on what stage the migration is in or the job is in, could be restarted or it's not. For instance, let's say that the RPC message to the data service is lost, and the data service hasn't even started the job. But the migration start method in the manager complete. In that case, we would have to trigger another migration start, and instead of just the data service.
So the scenario is Manila share is running and I do a migration, and manila-data is not running. So the RPC just goes out into the ether and lost. But if we had a table that we could wake up and say, oh, I see this work for me to do, without even the RPC.
Yes, that's one of the ideas proposed for the share manager and data set. It's further down below, but ideally this is for a job information field that is going to be useful for the data set to obtain information that is good enough fast for need or want to cover from a phase.
And if there's two data services, who decides who gets the job?
That's also data.
Okay.
So for driver assisted, so far we don't have any driver implemented, so I don't know any relevant information that is for. This idea, this could be.
NetApp is a draft implement. Is that upstream? ZFS does have that.
Oh yeah,
and we are done with that.
okay, yeah. So any relevant information that a driver may want to
I
say?
use for such cases driver private driver.
Oh, you're using private storage, right? So in that case, what happens is that when you start a migration using the ZFS as part of the team, you have to control the life cycle of the migration and start the storage. Like I have started a migration for this share, and I have this information immediately stored. Then later you have to update it, delete it when it's completed. So you have to control the life cycle of that.
Well, hold on. This is important. So in any situation where you're doing the driver integration, it's always the case that the two backends are managed by the same driver.
Yes.
So in those situations, driver private share data is actually a reasonable way to store that kind of data. It's just when you do the fallback migration, you're going across backends, and you can't use that because it's the two drivers.
There's no driver interaction.
So maybe this only benefits the fallback migration that's from.
Mostly, but I'm not saying that it is. We have found that the private storage offers any limitation.
Size also information.
Okay, and ideally, this database information will be accessible by both drivers involved, both backends involved.
But this information should only be accessed by the data service. It's for the purpose of the data service.
I mean, it's job information. So far, I'm opening up for drivers to be able to perform jobs as well, and they can use stable and
Actually, it can be read by anyone who knows UUID.
yeah.
Well, obviously, because if you have a database handle and UUID, you can grab
Knows it
that.
only in case when we send something.
But what I'm getting at is the reason we want to create this table is so that we can manage things that the data service does. We should limit it to that purpose, I think. And you mentioned that the data service today does the fallback migration. Tomorrow it may do other things,
Yeah.
and we'll need job entries for those things. But let's limit it to that, to the things that the data service is doing. Is it?
I have a good question on starting. So we are using a much more competitive way of copy. I don't have the context of it. But couldn't we actually switch using on that course? So most analysis I'm parsing. If you actually want to restart, just saying parsing again. Except you're not copying over anything that you already copied or parsing. Already done.
Yeah, we could use rsync, and that was discussed, and,
That was it.
you had a good reason for not using it.
Yeah, I have creating that. Yeah, it was showing I will.
Is it possible for you guys? Some sort of I have a better problem with the
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is there because you want to do at the time, and also very useful image.
No, I asked because
The behavior of the copy service is hidden from the user. All the user sees is that the data is copied from where it was needed to be. So we can change the way that works.
Why I'm asking is how we can storing some more data for us to restart these okay. Might as well give the administrator the time to what this going to cost. And okay, I have this copy ability, and I know I can restart me. If I don't I know what I've already copied, and I can.
Yeah, then there is no planning storing everything that I have.
Yes, that would be a problem.
It's just a dictionary equivalent to the graphics storing the graphic storage, but it is related to jobs. It's related to, for instance, an administrator who use the API, list jobs, show jobs, what's going on.
Well, I hate the idea of storing a dictionary in a database, by the way.
Oh, yeah, graphic storage.
Yeah, but that doesn't let you store dictionaries. It lets you store
Keys and values.
keys and values.
Oh, yeah, I see what you. In that case, we will serialize.
Right, but then you have to worry about the size of it, right? The dictionaries can be gigabytes of data.
And if you ever want to do a data migration, that's fun. If you ever need to change the structure.
Oh yeah. It's to be avoided if at all possible. Having explicitly named columns, if you know what the keys in that dictionary are going to be, is way better.
Yeah, ideally we want to. Right now we don't have key findings for that. That's why I'm listing those keys right here. And based on my prototype for library data service helper and other data APIs that we already discussed, but they're not in the
Well, so my proposal is if you have a prototype, put the ones you know about in the spec. Don't put serialized dictionary in the spec. And if we need to change it, we'll change it. But if we can avoid it, if we can have a working version that doesn't involve serializing dictionaries, that's a win.
Sure. Okay. So let's talk about the API. So I was thinking about an admin-only API. So the jobs are hidden for tenants. But when we think about share multiply, does it make sense for the tenants to keep jobs running regarding to share multiply operation that they actually have operation?
with his share, definitely.
Yeah.
Then users should.
Well, the problem is if there's only going to be a job entry in the situation where you do fallback migration, you don't necessarily want tenants to know what type of migration you're doing. All that they really need to know is that the migration is happening. Shouldn't expose the job information to them. Now, if there's specific pieces of information in the jobs table that would be relevant, like the % done, maybe the code that gets migration status would go pluck that out of the table and say migration 25% completed.
Yeah, right now we do have, that's just another example where we do have data job get progress, but the disadvantage of that if job get progress for different features in order to complete that request, we need to have a specific logic for backup or shareholder file or migration like different views. So right now we have migration get progress, which is solely related to migration, and if we have data job get progress that are unified or redundant.
Yeah, but I don't see any reason to make the API mirror the database email. The API should be what the API needs to be. And how the API gets the information out of the database is just code in the view manager.
But you don't want the API to work.
Huh?
Can't code lines out. You have the API and you just dot progress, or it could be a backup, it could be a migration.
Well,
I'm going to change the way
Exactly.
oh no, okay, sorry, I was talking about the prospect of exposing this to non-admins. Okay, so for admins, yeah, you should just dump out whatever the job has, right?
You just put admins, but actually writing it in the not by the modular line. How do I know how to parse the data? The API is I can't predict what is the context.
Also, something that tries to track and parse the context of migration and progress, but before we had 3 keys, like total progress, current progress, and current file. And then we weren't sure whether drivers would also fill out those fields that we were returning. And the idea we had was that, okay, let's start just with total progress and see what common information we can add to the view so we can return a consistent line.
So if we're going to have more than one type of job, initially it sounds like there's just going to be one, right? Data copy job.
Yes,
but if the plan is to have 2 or more types of jobs, one of the fields in the jobs table will have to be job type.
Yes.
And then the point will be the job type will tell you what other fields you should be looking at, and the admin should know that, and the API view builder should know that.
Yeah, so you make a job type that's not resource. If the API is home quality.
Or you could have a different API per job type. I mean, it's just a REST API design concern, but yeah, the point is there's always going to be enough information to interpret what you get back. You'll get a list of jobs. Each job will have a type, and then for any type, you'll know what fields mean. And you'll just document all of that, and there will always be a fixed number of job types. You know, we're not going to have an infinite number of these, so we'll just document each one.
Yeah, unless these fields may vary for each job type. So the one that forgets to share.
Right, well, you could have a different table for every job type, right? Like data copy jobs could have one table. Backup jobs could have another table with the fields they need. I mean, we can structure the database schema how we need to. But the REST API is what you have to get right. We can...
I would rather return with some values and basically have these, dictionaries that every
Wait, what?
So I would rather return with these, for example, basically says, is there something that's specific migration on that side?
Yeah, then you'd have 2 different REST APIs, one that lists migration jobs, one that lists backup jobs.
Yes.
And
And
then you only get the fields that are relevant for that job type. Yeah.
Which is one of the ideas. So we have two ideas. One is to continue to do that, which is future, and the other one to have something unified. But my opinion is that maybe we should design this just as an aggregator to find it more interesting, like viable. Currently have backup process, backup lower German 5, I will also want to comment on other ideas that get into discussing. And others suggested that we finish jobs, snapshots, and jobs. Like,
okay,
so all actions we have for our audience.
Everything gets conditional with it.
that's gross. We shouldn't go crazy with jobs. If there's a good reason to use a job for something, we should consider it. But so, is there an example of like where extend can take more than a small amount of time?
Yeah,
Where does that happen?
Yeah, do they take time and are they potentially restartable? I mean, your other examples, backup and migration and so on, it's not just that they take time, it's that you could be partway through it and go down, and then there's potential for restarting if you can make a microcode. Right?
Yeah.
There's real value in having.
There's another value that I was talking to somebody yesterday. He also works on the here, and he said that he thinks this is interesting because he would like to track every snapshot or extended operation. Like, okay, I treated an extended operation or a snapshot. It is not, because currently our states change, our status, the shared status, they change, but they go back to available, and in some cases, as he described in Tinder, there is not much information on what happened, what time happened.
So you're saying you want tenants to be able to audit the results of their operations?
Yeah, because these operations are very fast.
In this case, we have one new problem. How should we consider our existing API for a result state, for some developable or error state?
Yeah,
But
these items are mixing the job state that we already have for migration.
so if someone has a specific example of a case where you actually do the job, that's one thing. But like the cases you mentioned extend. So extend will go into an extending state, and then it'll go back into an available state. The way you know that it succeeded is you go look at the size. If the size changed, it succeeded. If it didn't, it didn't succeed. Same thing with a snapshot. A new UID gets returned. You can go look at that thing, and in most cases, there's an artifact that gets created in the REST API that allows the tenant to go validate that the thing they asked got done. If there was a situation where there was nothing in the REST API that you could go look at to see if your operation got done, then I would say, okay, yeah, we need to add a new token. I don't know if jobs is the way we would handle it, but
yeah,
it seems like huge overkill.
Overkill.
Yeah.
To have track.
Well, but I still don't get an answer to my question. Does anyone know of a backend that can't do extends synchronously?
Well, I know a package of done.
Okay, so
Also, generic drive cannot
do what?
extend without losing connection.
There is also a rate from snapshot. For some drivers, takes a lot.
Right, and all these, and the reason they take time is because down under the covers there's a data copy job that gets invoked, right? So the job got
For which operation, sorry?
creating a snapshot, or
Creating a
creating a share from the
snapshot.
snapshot. If you're doing it in an inefficient way,
Yeah.
it's effectively a data copy job.
Or, I haven't seen myself, but I don't know if drivers are doing something that takes a long time.
Okay, well, those are bugs that can be fixed. But yeah, at the end of the day, what the job that would get created for those would be data copy job. is actually
Yeah,
taking up the time.
which is suggested by the driver data.
But again, from the user's perspective, the share goes into a snapshotting state or the new share is in the creating state, and it just stays there for a while the copy proceeds, and it eventually gets done, and then they say, okay, that was slow, but it did what I wanted to do, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't see a need to introduce any additional jobs to track the states of those things. You know, it would, again, if you wanted to have like a restartable type of a situation, if the share was in the creating state and we bounced the service and it came back up and the driver said, oh, I was in the middle of creating the share when I died, but I can go see that data copy job is actually still running because data service didn't bounce. And so I can just continue waiting until it gets done, and eventually it will get done, and then I can say it's available.
There's another issue. I saw, I think it was shop manage, I'm not sure which code exactly, which operation, but they from, snapshots, 4%,
Everything is that always is something you want to get rid of it.
Yeah, I didn't know we had a progress field.
There is a IES.
Does anyone know what the progress is?
We've all been consistent.
It probably came all the way down from there.
Holy shit. Okay.
Now, is the jobs table going to play a role when you run multiple data services in parallel?
yeah, that's next.
Because that could tie into it. I mean, one might be able to make an argument for doing some things that don't necessarily take a long time for that, right? If you keep track of which data service owned the job, right?
Well, the whole point of the data service is that it does things that take a long time. Things that don't take a long time wouldn't go to the data service. Just do them, right?
Yeah,
But it still helps you track who was doing it, right? So I have N guys, gals running who are candidates for doing an operation. The operation partially complete. Somebody died. And now I come back up, and I need to figure out whether I owned it, whether it's still in progress, or whether it was aborted with no owner, right? The jobs table could potentially help you with that problem.
Well, a leader election can help you with that
A
problem.
leader election could potentially too, but I'm asking what,
this is a good question. So you have
is that a purpose?
You have two copies of the back end. One of them is the leader, and the other one's actually doing the work. And then that guy dies. And when he comes back up, who's supposed to restart that work?
The owner of the job should be data host here.
Wait, yeah. So for data jobs, they all need owners. Sorry, I thought that was obvious. But the case that Tom brought up is for things that don't have jobs, they're going to have the same problem.
They have resource owners, sharing. So,
yeah, but if you have multiple share managers that are all responsible, we rely on Rabbit to distribute the message to one of them to go do the work. But if he dies and comes back, you need a new distribution mechanism to decide who's going to do the recovery of that work.
So a jobs table could potentially play in that.
I'd rather not overload it.
Yeah, I'm just, it was an open question.
Yeah.
Is that an intention?
No, that's a very good question for the HA specialist.
They are both owners of the resource. Then there should be one can replace the other, no problem. Active,
Yeah, but you have to pick one, so they don't both try at the same time.
Why would the other one doing operations at all?
Because the leader would only exist to eliminate things that all the backends think they're responsible for. But for individual RPC requests, it's obvious he's responsible. It's the guy that took it off the queue who's responsible.
Yeah.
So you don't want the leader to be the only one doing work. Then you don't get scalability. You want the work to be distributed, and you want the leader to distribute the work that is currently just getting done automatically with no RPCs.
But if you have a mechanism for deciding which one decides work, then you have to do that one again, or.
But how do you know when? How do you know when to do it? Because if I'm in the middle of an operation and I just die, who's watching me to know that I died and that particular operation needs restarting if the rest of the system is running fine? It's an HA problem we shouldn't cover right now, but
I mean, take it off.
Okay, so we kind of keep to the job creation. Currently, there are RPC calls in the data services for migration. There is no more than the need of notifying that. Because we don't have the one phase anymore, we have two phases. The administrator is the one that triggers the second phase. But for jobs in general, there are two ideas for starting, two ideas for completing. One idea is that other services will do job issues in the database and then trigger their starts with the RPC. So they send the rabbit message and then the RPC message, and then one of the data services will up and start the job. The other one
and update it with their host.
Yes, and the other one would have a periodic step in all data sets looking at the heat and the starting jobs that are registered but waiting to be started. In that case, we will not use the RPC, but we will run into a distributed database.
You'd be polling, which you never want to poll, right?
Yeah.
2 requires polling, so it's definitely worse than 1.
Yes, I suggest the number one person. So that's the next.
No, it's not a split, it's a scaling concern, right? If I have 100 data service jobs and they're all pulling the database, that sucks.
Yeah, it depends on how we do it. It depends on what other mechanisms are there for protecting or delaying folks. Right now, if you don't consider this mechanism, it's simple, but if you do, it becomes a bad idea.
Yeah, but polling never scales. So.
And the other one is that when competing, all the other entities will have a periodic step to watch the job and go to the distribution. Like the data set finishes doing the job, the copy, but it has to notify that. And the other idea is that all backends that need to have complete methods, RPC, and the manager that will receive a notification when a job is completed. The first idea is
you don't need an RPC, you just need to make the original RPC synchronous.
The original RPC synchronous?
Well, a synchronous RPC just means that when it gets done, I'm going to get a message back.
But it lasts only 60 seconds.
Oh, right, because it's, okay, so that won't work. So what you want is a way to sort of...
you have to invoke it back. You need to know which one it is.
I mean, at the rabbit layer, it looks the same, but yeah, at the Python layer, it would be different, because do you want a thread that's just spinning there, waiting? Or do you want to start a new thread? If you need to do something after it completes, like if...
Yeah, in some cases they do, because the data set is not, the code that you put in the data set is not responsible to handle the resources.
Right.
Some scenarios after completing a job, like updating access rules or deleting a share or something like that. So you need to transfer control back to the manager to perform these later operations completely. So that transfer back is kind of complicated. Currently, for migration, we have a periodic step, which follows the need for the database for
pulling strings.
Yeah. And we could go back with the notify that before.
Okay, so I like the notify idea, where when the job finishes, an RPC gets sent to somebody. Do you know who to send it to always? Could the guy who created the job put his return address in the job? Okay, so you always have in the jobs table the return address of who started this job, so you know who to send the RPC to. Are you going to need more than one type of RPC?
More than one type? Oh.
Like, as we have more than one type of job,
yeah.
Is it,
like a share backup for each, share migration for each, share modify. So that we call adding all those new RPCs and management methods.
well, but if it was just a job complete RPC, you send it to the appropriate manager. He goes up, he loads the job, he can look at the job type and get the switch statement in the manager. You don't need to multiply.
Oh, I see what you mean. I had that in my group for the data service API, which I had several types of data service jobs, copies of snapshots to share.
Because the only...
And I had a type for that. But the problem is, I would like to point another problem where, let's say that the data service crashes, and the notification is never going to be sent. So the manager just sits there forever, never able to complete. That's why we have this migration method that solves this problem. So the problem is not existing migration, but it would be present for other features that you expect to not have to trigger a second phase. Make sense?
No, I need to think about this. So you can have a job get started. You're not going to do any more work until it gets completed, so you're just waiting for that RPC to come back to you.
Yeah.
But it's never going to come back because the job died.
Yeah.
So it seems like the job recovery mechanism should be responsible for restarting the job and ensuring that that completion eventually gets sent.
So it would be the way to trigger that mechanism. Let's say if the way to trigger it is starting the service where it looks for all the jobs stated and decides if it needs to send a opening notification. But ideally, you should have a periodic test for this. You don't have to start your service. And then we're back to the periodic, which we would have in the manager.
Well, yeah, well, what you need is a way to detect if the guy who's supposed to be working on a job is not around.
That's a heartbeat. I mean, I feel like we're talking about like 5 different problems that, and half of them seem like we're re-implementing a distributed test queue. Like, we could just use celery or something if you...
Celery?
That's new. One of the Python libraries, but
I've never
like,
heard of it.
yeah, you have workers and heartbeats, and you just have to define. Then that would leave the only problem for us is to say, what do we do if we die in the middle? What do we do? Yeah, that's pretty
Well,
much
for every job type, you define how you recover from that job.
And maybe you don't. Maybe
You can always just go back to the beginning and start over.
Well, hopefully.
It sucks, but eventually you get done.
Otherwise, you got a big problem. Right.
Well, but you not only have to set the job to error, but you have to find the operation that initiated that job that's expecting it to get done. Mark that thing up too.
Yes, in case of error, the Gemini resource owner needs to cannot do because the only one that will be able to take some action is watch.
I had an idea. So how about in addition to a job complete RPC, you could have like a job failed RPC. So you know what, this job didn't work out the way we thought it would, so go finish whatever it is you need to do related to that job failing. And then we still need a way to detect when the job is dead. But then instead of trying to restart it and trying to do all the messy stuff, you could just send that RPC and say, hey, the job failed.
Yeah,
go.
I've done that before when we had the one-page migration. The migration complete, I would send a flag saying that the migration failed. Migration complete with a failed status.
Yeah, so it would go back to the right manager, and he could mark it migration failed and migration error state. Then the user finds out that he needs to go bug the admin and say, fix
Yeah,
it.
but the problem is what triggers that message, that RPC message, not fine. Needs to be periodic test or something runs during the data set while it is starting.
Yeah.
And then we need to avoid restart. So in that case, I think the periodic test.
Has slow evolved to do distributed stuff.
Don't say that word.
I know. These are the problems it was invented to solve.
It's over-engineered though.
Well, yeah, the implementation might not be the best, but I don't want to do it again.
It's better to solve exactly the problem you have than to create a flexible framework to solve every problem that you haven't imagined yet.
Yeah, but it's better to use a flexible framework to not have to do anything.
I mean, this is not a fundamentally hard problem. Like Alex said, you need heartbeats. We already do heartbeats for all the services into the database, so you know when services are alive, and so.
What if it's zombied? The service could be alive, but it could just be sitting there stuck.
Right. Well, the way that the heartbeat works is you update a column in a table with the last timestamp. So if that timestamp gets too far behind, you mark.
Yeah, we have to do it in the job loop itself, like a job heartbeat. Yeah.
No, the whole service could have a heartbeat, and then when it was noticed that that service was a zombie or dead, you could just go find all the jobs that he owned.
I remember the job itself. Doing like, let's say that it's copying data, but the NFS handle bad, and it's
that's a whole other thing. So if you have soft mounts, eventually, and the NFS server goes out to lunch, you will eventually get an I/O error, and the I/O will fail. If you have hard mounts, it will block forever, and that's by design. That's intended behavior. So you just wait.
anything is waiting on I/O, and the job becomes autonomous, but the service is responding to
Yeah, but you're supposed to wait in that case.
I think all the jobs we want to stay. We have the jobs. Yeah, I'll be all of them. I know.
Yeah, I would say we'll do a heartbeat per data service, and the recovery mechanism will be when a data service is noticed to be dead, mark all of his jobs in an error state, and go send that failure notification to everyone who's waiting on them, so they can go make the appropriate updates, or restart them and get them going again. You know, one of those two.